Number 8. Danai Makmek. In July of 2021, a 26-year-old Thai man passed away in what's believed to have been the first death associated with Bitcoin mining. The incident occurred in the country's central Chonburi province. Like other cryptocurrency miners, Danai Makmek had linked up several hard drives to create his rig. He had at least 19 drives mining for him and was using electric fans to keep them cool. Makmek's system broke down and he asked his brother Apiwat for urgent help in fixing it. Apiwat arrived at his home the following day with a technician to find Makmek's lifeless body slumped over the mining setup. The emergency services were called to the scene, but they were unfortunately unable to revive him. A preliminary investigation found no suspicious injuries on his body or signs of forced entry. The authorities concluded that, impatient about the financial losses he was facing, Makmek had tried to fix the rig on his own, at which point it exploded and fatally electrocuted him. Number 7. OLESYA SEMENOVA. In December of 2020, the lifeless body of Russian woman OLESYA SEMENOVA was discovered in the bathtub of an Archangelsk apartment. When 24-year-old Semenova's roommate returned home, she found her unresponsive and, upon touching her body, sustained an electric shock. Looking back on the incident, the unnamed woman remembered that Semenova exhibited no signs of life and that her iPhone 8 was in the water, still charging. Paramedics would later confirm electrocution as the cause of death. The tragic incident prompted a statement by the Russian Ministry of Emergencies, warning citizens about the incompatibility of water and electric devices connected to outlets. They reminded cell phone users that if a device is dropped in the water and it isn't plugged into anything, the worst outcome is its mechanical failure. Otherwise, the consequences are typically fatal. Number 6. KANWAL Butt. On August the 7th of 2013, KANWAL Butt was horrifically electrocuted at the Godstone train station in Surrey, England, after placing his head on a live rail. Butt, who was in his late teens, had moved to the UK with his family 18 months prior. It's believed that he was simply unaware that, unlike in his native Pakistan, railway tracks in the UK are electrified. He was 3 weeks into a work placement experience at a restaurant and eager to return to his family in Aldershot, Hampshire, to celebrate the Muslim festival of Eid. It was supposed to be the first time that Butt took a train unaccompanied. He'd already jumped from a platform and walked across the tracks, unaware of the dangers, to reach an intercom and inquire why his train was late. After being given the proper information about the delay and where he could change trains to get home, Butt crossed back to the platform. Moments later, he climbed down, kneeled and put his ear to the track to listen for when his train was coming. It would have been an innocuous course of action in Pakistan, where trains run on coal or diesel, but in the UK, it yielded a fatal outcome. The teenager suffered a massive electric shock, and his whole body caught fire. Emergency workers retrieved his smoking body, and a coroner recorded a verdict of accidental death. In the aftermath, Butt's family and others in the community pressed for better warning systems and raising awareness about the dangers of jumping on the tracks, particularly when considering that many of the people working in the UK come from countries where the operating principles of railway networks are different. Number 5. Ferdinand and Janine Rain Tejada. In January of 2021, a man and his daughter were both fatally electrocuted in Panorama City, Los Angeles. A rainstorm had downed the power line in the backyard of 53-year-old Ferdinand Tejada. After hearing an explosion and seeing the smoke, he went to investigate. Ferdinand accidentally touched the live wire, which gave him a powerful electric shock. His 20-year-old daughter, Janine Rain, rushed to his side. In doing so, she came in contact with the water outside, which served as a conductor, and she was electrocuted as well. Her mother was also shocked, but she managed to get inside and call the emergency services. According to the Los Angeles Fire Department, the 911 operator saved the woman's life by telling her not to help her daughter and husband. First responders arrived to the scene but had to wait for the Department of Water and Power to turn off the power supply before they could approach the victims, as the area was still energized. Ferdinand and Janine were beyond saving by the time that rescuers reached them. Number 4. Anastasia Scherbininna. 25-year-old Anastasia Scherbininna was fatally electrocuted in March of 2021, and her body was discovered by her young son. The 4-year-old child heard a loud bang in the bathroom and went to check on his mother. He found Scherbininna unconscious in the bathtub of their apartment in Toguchin in Russia's Novosibirsk region. The boy noticed that her phone was still connected to an outlet. He unplugged it and then tried getting his mother to wake up, but there were no signs of life. It was at that point that he called his great-grandmother, who took a taxi to their home. SCHERBININA had been waiting for a call, which is why she'd kept her cell phone close to her while in the bath. Then, while talking on the phone, she accidentally pulled on the charging cable, which caused the power extension and the socket to fall into the tub. SCHERBININA was pronounced dead at the scene. She'd been raising her son alone, following a split with his father, and her mother had succumbed to cancer roughly a year prior to the incident. The child reportedly didn't understand what had happened and believed that she was in the hospital and that he'd see her again once she got better. He was placed into the care of his great-grandmother. Number 3. Matt Manzari. In 2014, a professional athlete from Florida nearly lost his life after suffering severe electrocution, which melted his flesh to the bone. Matt Manzari was a prodigious water sports athlete and the first wake skater to be endorsed by Nike when he was just 15 years old. He then felt that it was his calling from God to go into ministry. He graduated from a theology course at the University of Tennessee and was ultimately asked to come into a ministry and teach water skiing, wakeboarding, and wake skating to inner-city youths. He was excited about the opportunity, but about a week later suffered a life-changing accident as he was trimming trees at his local church. Unbeknownst to him, Manzari, then in his early 20s, was using the wrong equipment for the job. He was operating a remote-controlled bucket truck, but instead of fiberglass, the bucket he was standing in was made out of metal. As it rose through the canopies, it made contact with overhead power lines, and 14,000 volts surged through Manzari's body. To put that figure into perspective, electric chairs run at around 2,000 volts, meaning he was subjected to roughly 7 of them operating at once. The impact was devastating. The electricity had melted his skin, leaving the collarbones, sternum, and ribs exposed. Over a quarter of his body was covered in 4th and 5th degree burns, with parts of his flesh charred in places, with his muscles and ligaments obliterated. His family and his wife, who was pregnant at the time, were told that he wasn't going to make it. With that much electricity having coursed through his body, the damage to his heart and brain would have been immense. Miraculously, after spending a few days in a coma, Manzari woke up and was able to speak. His organs remained healthy throughout the following months, and he didn't contract sepsis. Manzari's recovery was a fast but painful process in which he needed over 70 surgeries, involving the removal of burnt tissue and multiple skin grafts. The regeneration of his nerves was an excruciating process, but Miracle Matt, as the athlete was dubbed, was out in time to see the birth of his child and eventually even return to wake skating. Today's topic was requested by Irvington81. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. DEANA Simpson. In August of 2017, Englishwoman DEANA Simpson suffered a fatal electric shock in the kitchen of a caravan where she lived with her partner, James Atkin. The couple, both in their early 40s, reportedly had a tumultuous relationship on account of their heavy drinking. Atkin reportedly had the habit of drinking strong beer and neat spirits on a daily basis. The day before the incident, he turned up to his job intoxicated and left early to work on the electric generator of the caravan, which was located at a farm in Willoughby, owned by his father. While still under the influence of alcohol, Atkin was trying to fit a new inverter by himself. In spite of having been told the job required a specialist, on the evening of August the 26th, as Simpson was preparing a barbecue, she was electrocuted and collapsed by the cooker. Atkin reportedly thought she was playing a prank on him and even took pictures of his partner as she was twitching on the ground. It was only after sustaining a smaller shock himself that he realized the gravity of the situation and called emergency services. A few days later, a professional electrician inspected the caravan's installation and revealed its deplorable state. The potential for electric shock was instantly recognizable, as the connections were incorrect, the earthing was inadequate, and there were no protective devices. Atkin was found guilty of gross negligence manslaughter and sentenced to 6 years and 6 months in prison. Number 1. Nathan Brown. In September of 2013, a father watched his son get electrocuted and plummet 12 feet after he'd accidentally touched an electrified metal strip. 19-year-old Nathan Brown was an apprentice electrician looking to follow in the footsteps of his father, David, who had over 3 decades experience. They were working together for the same company and had been contracted to conduct an electrical inspection at a factory in Rochdale, England. Nathan was tasked with climbing a ladder onto the walkway of a crane to then test the lights and shout the readings down to his father. As Nathan was trying to reach higher, he suffered an electric shock after accidentally touching a bus bar, a metal component that conducts electricity and is used to power the crane. David helplessly watched him plummet, head first, into the roof of a toilet block below the crane. Nathan was airlifted to a hospital where he later passed away. A forensic pathologist found burn marks consistent with electrocution. There was no indication that Nathan had made any effort to break his fall, leading the pathologist to suspect he'd succumbed to cardiac arrest before impacting the roof. Thanks for watching. Would you rather touch a live wire or walk through a bee farm with no protection for 20 minutes? Let us know in the comments section below.